Hello and welcome to the Sunbirdcrochet Podcast. My name is Claudia and I'm coming to you from Germany. Thank you for returning viewers and for those who are here for the first time. I hope you will enjoy the next half hour, probably about half an hour. We will see how long it takes me to go through all the things I have for you. And these are today my movie with the letter F, beginning with the letter F for the Movie and Stitch challenge, which is also my finished object. Then I have 2 works in progress for you. I've also got some sewing for you, which is yarn related, but you will see that. And then I'm going to talk to you about upcoming events and some plans. Today I'm wearing the Frida Kahlo, which is my own design, and you can get the free download PDF pattern if you go to my Instagram account, and there's a link tree with all my downloadable files. And you can also find this design on Rippler. So let's start. I'm going to begin with a Movie and Stitch. I would like to start off with my project for the Movie and Stitch challenge. I chose the movie Frida, which is a biography about Mexican artist Frida Kahlo. In that movie, Frida is played by Salma Hayek, and Diego Rivera, her husband, is played by Alfred Molina. Both brilliant actors, and in fact there are a lot of brilliant actors in that movie, and it's a very captivating movie. It's not only about her life, but also almost like poetry, the music, the colors. It's a feast for the eyes and for all the senses. And it's not an easy movie to watch. It's very emotional and there's a lot of agony and pain, which was also in her life. Frida Kahlo was born in 1907, the same year actually as my grandmother. And she later decided to give her birth year as 1910 because of the Mexican Revolution. She was a very passionate woman. And her father was a German actually, and out of curiosity I looked up her ancestors, and he came from the area nearby where I live actually. Anyhow, he was a photographer and an artist himself in that regard, and her mother, who was Mexican, she was also an artist, and she grew up she was born in not far away from Mexico City, and she grew up there, and she started to study medicine. And I hope I get this all right, but feel free to correct me if I'm wrong. From a very early age, she had problems with her health. It is often said that she had contracted polio, and that's why she had to spend a lot of time in bed as a child, and as a result, her right leg was shorter than the left one, and it was also a bit weaker. But others say that it wasn't polio, but it had something to do with a spine problem which she had from birth. So she had a very agonizing childhood already. And later in life, she had been involved in a bus accident. She was traveling in one of the public buses, which then crashed, and she was pushed by the bus was pushed by a tram against a wall, and she was crushed. Her legs were broken, and a metal rod went right through her through her hip and through her body and her hip, and she had to spend a lot of time then recovering from it. She never really recovered from it completely. She had to wear a corset or metal clamps to help her learn to walk again. But first of all, she spent a lot of time just lying in bed, and that's where she first started to paint. And her parents put up a mirror on the ceiling above her bed, and so she learned to paint what she saw, which was herself. I only know of her self-portraits. I think most of her paintings, if not all, are self-portraits. But she also, apart from the agony and the pain, and you could say that people might want to give up on life altogether, she never did. She wanted to, in opposite of that, she wanted to enjoy life as much as possible, I believe. I mean, it's just my impression. I obviously don't know her. And maybe I'm interpreting, and maybe I'm just mirroring my emotions on her life and her feelings. So she finally learned to walk again, and she picked up painting and art for her life, and she met the much older painter and artist Diego Rivera, and the two were very passionate, and their relationship wasn't harmonic. I think it was rather a matter of too much passion almost. How to describe it? The movie is going through all the kind of emotions, and in fact they both weren't faithful to each other, and there is a conversation in the movie, or more than once, about being faithful in a marriage, and he insists on having affairs with other women, and she, not that she learns to live with it as such, but she has to accept it in order to be able to live with him. That comes with him. That's part of him being himself. But he doesn't accept this in Frida. So it's for me, it's also a sort of emancipation of Frida. She tries to show him, well, part of her motivation might be to show him what it's like, how he would feel if she's not faithful to him. When he proposes to her, he asks, or he says to her that he can't be faithful, and she says to him, I'm not asking for you to be faithful, but to be loyal. So that's something to think about, and to I don't know if you can separate this, and I think that's part of their problem. They want loyalty, but they can't be faithful. So that's one aspect. In fact, they did get a divorce because Diego had an affair with her sister, with Frida's sister, and that was just too much for her. And yeah, so it's very complicated, their love life, and also he was a very political man, she as well. And when he was invited to paint a big mural in, I think it was New York, he depicted the problems of capitalism, and Diego Rivera was a communist in that regard, so he was, what he painted in New York was then overpainted because it wasn't agreeable to the capitalist attitude. And Frida was also in favor of communism, and the couple had a lot of visitors. One of them was Leon Trotsky, who was there to escape problems in Europe, and in fact Frida had an affair with him as well. Leon Trotsky was married at the time, and he decided to be loyal to his wife in that regard, that he returns to her and that he chooses her and not to hurt her anymore. And there's also a scene in the movie, a confrontation between Frida and Diego. He can't bear it that Frida gave him a taste of his own medicine. But obviously the movie is not all about affairs. It's about the art. And in fact, do you know Monty Python Circus? There are these little interludes with animations, and you get that in the movie Frida as well. Especially right at the end, when Frida dies, she goes to heaven lying in bed, and it's a animation, like a clay animation of one of her paintings. It's her lying in bed, and her veins are connected to Mother Earth, and she's going up to heaven. Her bed is being carried upwards by birds, I think. And yes, it's a very poetic movie as well. It's not an easy movie. It's a thought-provoking movie, a poetic movie, and it's a beautiful movie. The movie has in fact won 2 Oscars, and it has furthermore won another 15 prizes and was nominated 47 times. I would also like to mention the music in the movie, and I have to read this because, and I'm probably going to butcher how it's the Spanish words. It's the beautiful old Mexican folk songs like La Llorona, sung by mariachi singer Lila Downs, and Old Woman Deaf, sung by Chavela Vargas. I can't really put this here in this movie because of copyright, but I beg you to go and check out what YouTube has to offer regarding the movie Frida. It's really worthwhile, and if you can, go and watch the whole movie. And before I come to my project, my crochet project for the movie, I would like to read to you some quotes from the movie. And some of them are humorous and others are thought-provoking. I'm just going to read them as I come across them in no particular order. Frida Kahlo: at the end of the day, we can endure much more than we think we can. Did I tell you that they remarried? Frida and Diego Rivera, they married twice. So another conversation between Frida Kahlo and Guillermo Kahlo. What do you think matters most for a good marriage? And he says, a short memory. And Frida says, why did you get married? And he says, I can't remember. And here's the conversation between Diego and Frida when he learned about her being unfaithful with Leon Trotsky. He says, you've broken my heart, Frida. And she says, it hurts, doesn't it? But why? It was just a beep. I can't say that here. Like a handshake. Diego says, no, I told you who I was when you married me. And Frida says, yes, you did, and I married you anyway. And you promised to be loyal. You have been my comrade, my fellow artist, my best friend, but you've never been my husband. About art, Frida says to Diego, I just want your serious opinion. You see, when they met, she was the pupil and he was the teacher. And Diego says, what do you care about my opinion? If you're a real painter, you'll paint because you can't live without painting. You'll paint till you die. And their marriage proposal, Diego says, I'm here to ask you to marry me. And Frida says, I don't need rescuing, Diego. And Diego Rivera says, I do. Frida sighs and says, I've lost the toes of one foot, my back is useless, I have an infection of the kidneys, I smoke, I drink, I curse, I can't have children, I have no money and a stack of hospital bills. Shall I keep going? And Diego says, it's practically a letter of recommendation. If you have a look at them, I mean, they're so different from their looks, but from their nature, I think they were soulmates. Going through all these quotes here, I think I can't say half of those on YouTube. So if it doesn't shock you too much, just go and have a look at them yourself. It's on IMDb and everywhere. I mean, Frida is a very popular artist, Frida Kahlo. So let me move on to my project. I've used a pattern called Tilda Matilda, and it's a free amigurumi pattern, and it looks like this. It's a very oversized doll, or a doll is minimalistic face and oversized or over length legs and arms. And you can find it on pitusasipetetesblogspot.com. I put it up here. I've made a few changes to the pattern because I didn't want so long legs and arms. And here is my Frida Kahlo. I gave her a flower crown, I gave her the eyebrows. She has a crocheted dress. She is wearing underpants. Her right leg is actually shorter than her left leg. I made a little scarf, she's wearing a blouse, and she even has a monkey, chimpanzee, on her shoulder. And this fabric here with a little monkey, that's a fabric from Tula Pink. And I don't know if you can see it, but I gave her some hair braids. So this is Frida. Next, I would like to talk to you about my works in progress. I've got two. Both are sweaters or jerseys, depending if you're British or American. Both are sweaters, and I'm going to show you the first one here. The first one is my Daffodil Sweater. You've seen it before, but it's almost finished now. I just have to finish this arm here, and then I can wear it for you. Or for me, but I'm going to show it to you. You might have seen it on my Instagram, and I've also made a separate video about cutting the yoke. If you remember, this part here had been in light blue with more color work, but I had too much fabric here around my neck. It was puckering up and it was just not fitting properly. So I've decided to cut it right here. And I secured the stitches first by a line of surface single crochet, US terms, and then I cut 3 rows above, not this one, but the original fabric, 3 rows above. I cut it with a small pair of scissors, and then I was left with some more or less live loops, and I secured those loops just to be sure with another thread of yarn, and I tied it loosely so that it wouldn't pull the yoke together, but it would have enough give and take that it's still flexible. And so what I ended up with is just a line of the rest of the old yoke, and then I worked my ribbon, neck ribbon here, on into the line of surface single crochet, and I couldn't be happier. Go and have a look at my special video all about crochet surgery. Which brings me to my second sweater. You've seen that one before as well, and I did the same with it. It had also a light blue beginning, and I really must say I should stick to my knowledge, never mix yarn weights in a project. I started off with it was probably a worsted weight yarn, and then I continued holding 2 strands of Holst yarn super soft together, which is good enough for a DK yarn but not for worsted. So I had the same problems with that one. So what I did was the same. I cut the yoke and I added just a neckband, and now I'm just going to show it to you. I actually like the colors more than before. And now I moved on to, I already separated for the sleeves, and now I'm working half double crochets, US terms, into the 3rd loop, back loop. And if you don't know where the 3rd loop is, I probably am going to make another tutorial about that. So now I've separated for the sleeves, and I'm going to continue in the Jasper brown and Mariner blue colors for a while, and eventually I will just use only the Jasper or only the blue. I haven't decided yet. If you have an idea what looked better, Jasper blue or Jasper brown or Mariner blue, then please leave a comment down below. Curious to know what you think about it. So that's my second work in progress. I have another finished object, or 2, but those are sewing projects. I never know if it's sewing, fabric. I've bought some 20 times 20 centimeter squares from Spoonflower on Etsy, and I've got 5 of them, and they look just like this. I've used up 2 already, and I've got 3 left, so I can show you how they look like. So this here is one of them. That's called Modern Jersey Protea Garden by Honolulu Designs. Oh, this is the Protea. You see my theme. Anything Protea related is my thing. And then I have, that's called Eucalyptus Bloom also by Honolulu Designs. Oh, like this. And this is all jersey, so it's stretchy. That's important for the project, which I'm going to show you. Giraffes. The next one is giraffes in pinks and purple. A design by Micklin. They're all on Spoonflower Europe or Spoonflower. I think you get them everywhere. I don't know what Spoonflower really is, but it seems to be a big company where you can order online everywhere, wherever you are. So these are giraffes. So what I wanted to make are yarn cake cozies. And you might ask yourself, what's the use of that? And I can show you what I've made. This is the first one. And that's the second one. It's a very quick make. And what they are good for is you place them around your yarn cake, and it holds the yarn cake together. You pull your loop from the center, and the more you work with that yarn, the smaller it comes. And if you don't have a yarn cake cozy around it, it might fall apart and it gets a big entangled mess. And this is supposed to help you with that. And I think it looks cozy. I just wanted to try this out because I've seen it on YouTube. There is a tutorial which I followed by the crafty Gemini, and I'm going to link to her tutorial down. Sorry, almost dropped it. I'm going to link to her tutorial down below if you want to make your own ones. It's really very simple without taking something away. If you have a stretchy fabric, and she is recommending a fabric with a spandex content in it. I've just used some jersey. This jersey is elastic in that direction and in that direction, but in that direction not so much like in that direction. So you want to make sure that the part which goes horizontal is the part which is more elastic. So what you do is you would have to fold. This is more elastic in that direction, so I would have to fold this like that, and then I would have to sew it down here, down there together. It's a special stitch for elastic fabric, Zickzack Stich in German. And once you did that, you pull it right side out, and then you hold it over your hand and you fold it back down half, so that you can hold the edges, both edges here together, and you would sew it together, leaving a little gap. And once you've done that, you pull the right side out through that gap, and you close the gap with a little few more stitches, either by hand or by your machine. And then you're already done with your yarn cake cozy. So these are, I'm going to show them to you again because I like them so much. My yarn cake cozies. They're also called yarn cake socks, yarn socks. Yeah. So now to upcoming events and projects. I would like to mention just a couple of things. First of all, at the beginning of June, we will have a John Arbon Textiles weekend, open mill weekend. So this is what I'm talking about. I've mentioned John Arbon Textiles before, only a couple of times. And last year I already took part in their open mill weekend, which is virtual, so you can join from all over the world. It's a lot of fun. And this year I plan to take part as well, like a visitor taking part. I would just like to recommend this to you. And then if you've watched Claudia Crochet Luna's vlogcast and Ellie from Starry Eyes Ellie, Little Drops of Wonderful podcast latest videos, you already might know that there are two CALs coming up. The first one, or melts really. The first one is the Dodgy Bag Mel, where you can make your own project bags and you are in for a prize if you're one of the lucky winners. And after that, there's going to be the Summer of Romance CAL. That's a collaboration between Claudia and Clarissa Beth, and it's the summer of romance. That's all. There's going to be a reveal of that special cal later, I believe. There are also other cals happening. I will keep this short now. I will add links to all the cals down below. I can think of, I might add to that list later as well. So this is a list growing, and feel free to add your cal, or if you know of a cal, just let us all know in the comments down below so we can have a look at that. And last but not least, I would like to make another project, a shawl project. It's in one of these two pattern booklets, the annuals. It's in this one actually, and the pattern is by Faye. I'm just going to show you what it looks like. It's the Broad Oak Hill pattern, and here you can see what it looks like. I think it looks gorgeous, and my plan is to record another short episode in the near future where I will open all my project bags on the hunt for the right yarn for this project. But this will really, I'm already talking about 50 minutes and alright, I will cut a lot of it out because I always have problems pronouncing words and I have to cut this, but I think we will have 30 minutes, and 30 minutes is about what my computer can upload, or my connection. Anything longer and it will take absolute days. So let's finish this off now here. I hope you will have a lovely weekend ahead. Lots of plans. I know that in many countries they are opening up shops and restaurants and other places where you can meet your friends again. Unfortunately not here right now, but we will get there, no doubt about that. So this is all from me now. Keep crafting, keep smiling, and keep healthy, and I'm going to talk to you soon. Bye!